I'll call the meeting to order. Did people have a chance to review? We had a couple of minutes, 2 or 3, I believe. And one set that we thought we had approved last month, we really didn't approve because they weren't in the packet.
Okay.
So that's if you notice that they're back in, and they're not in the minutes saying we approved them because we really couldn't have.
I move we accept the minutes from May 22nd, 2025, December 10th, 2025, and January 24th, 2026.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? No opposition. I declare the motion carried unanimously. Do you want to start so you can go home? We'll
okay.
skip right to you if you're ready. Sorry.
Yes.
Fiona's
the
gonna,
longest drive.
Fiona has 2 warrant articles that are 2 applications. They're not warrant articles yet.
Sure. So
That she's.
I have the presentation on my laptop.
I don't even know how to work anything in
Is
this.
the video guy? We got a video guy right here.
Yeah,
Do
there's
you
somebody
know how to
back there.
work
I
stuff
think.
in this?
I'm not sure with the new
I can just
room.
plug
Yeah,
in here.
I think that remote should be hooked up to everything.
Welcome. This is
Thank you.
Fiona
Hi, everyone.
DiMartino.
DiMartino.
Yes.
We gotta get used to saying it.
Slightly new name. Yes, yes. Well, very not slightly. Very much a new last name. So sorry. Just bear with me for a second.
Okay.
Good seeing you all. Thanks for having me. Oh, don't make me do the
Ian's gonna make me do this.
So she has 2. I'll kind of briefly summarize while she's setting up 2 warrant articles. I keep saying that 2 projects. One ties in nicely with our, maybe it's because of the land purchase that we made along the Blackstone River on Providence Road in South Grafton. That this is a feasibility study
Yes.
to help connect. We're trying to connect Worcester to Providence, the hike and bike trail, and that project is to help develop those plans for that, at least that section in Grafton that we, and then other pieces that can reasonably connect with Worcester, because it goes to Millbury. I don't know how far Millbury, so
Goes into Rhode Island, all right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It extends all the way to the Narragansett Bay. Actually. Yeah, it's part of
but we're a gap.
Blackstone
yes, A
Valley,
little gap is what we're focusing on tonight, but I
Greenway.
don't know why it's not showing up.
Does that remote have
Blackstone Valley Greenway, is that what they call it? Something like that?
Yes,
Yeah.
we've been using kind of bikeway and greenway interchangeably. Oh no,
That'd be awesome to have
Well-
that connected.
I can just go. Right?
Okay. I mean, that's,
Okay, just gonna sip of water first. Thank you all very much for having me. I think I know pretty much everyone very well. My name is Fiona DiMartino. For those of you who don't know me, I am the Director of Planning and Community Development for the town. I have been working very closely with a number of organizations on this particular project, most notably the Blackstone Heritage Corridor, as well as Sustainable Grafton, and a variety of other folks. There should be letters of support submitted with the application in the record, which I can talk about a little bit later. So I'm just going to start by giving an overview. John did a pretty good job of summarizing the key points. But so the Blackstone River Bike/Greenway has been an effort that has been underway for many, many years. I actually think I found documents dating back to '84. So this is a big deal, big project. The Greenway extends, I think it's part of a larger network, and I might rely on Donna to help me out with this one, but there's a larger bikeway network that extends actually from Maine all the way through to Rhode Island. This is the Blackstone Bikeway is a part of that. But what we're focusing on today, as I mentioned, is Grafton's segment of the bikeway, which will be connecting Grafton down into from Sutton into Northbridge, and then completing at least a portion of the Massachusetts side of things. So Rhode Island is pretty advanced. They are pretty much done, I believe. Massachusetts is a little bit slower to catch up in this effort, but I will say that this is a local, regional, and federal priority. There's actually some national park recognition for this project that I've seen in my research. We thought this was an ideal time to bring this to CPC because the town has acquired recently 3 parcels along Providence Road, so 324, 334, and 380 Providence Road rear. So we're hoping with the acquisition of those parcels, in conjunction with the new bike lanes that have been, relatively new bike lanes that have been installed along 122, that we can create an on-road and off-road opportunity for users that will complete our segment. So there's been significant work done to date about numerous amounts of planning and studies have been done, ranging from CMRPC's regional bike plan to the Blackstone River Bikeway report that was completed by Fuss and O'Neill in 2017. That plan is the most comprehensive and in-depth analysis of Grafton's segment to date. So we're hoping that building on all of these efforts that have been done, we have a good foundation to be able to tee up a feasibility study. Now we have some new land, we have bike lanes, we have the support through our letters, and we have prior planning efforts and data to lean on that we can use to really create something amazing and really get this done. So obviously, I think everyone here knows the benefits of this type of project. Obviously, health and quality of life improvements, as well as environmental and just general safety improvements for people who want to pursue outdoor recreational, active and passive recreation. Obviously, there's also some ecotourism benefits. To the project as well. It's really trying to capitalize on some Grafton's beautiful assets, and particularly in South Grafton, and really work with the Land Trust as well as some other partners to create a cohesive connection. So the scope of work. So we are planning to do so. The goal is to, if we were awarded the Mass Trails grant, which I did submit a capital request to fill in that gap should we not get the grant, and with that and potentially CPA funds and a contribution from the Heritage Corridor, thank you Heritage Corridor for that, we are hoping to fund an RFP for feasibility study and concept plans that will evaluate different alignments and opportunities. So the goal would be evaluate the previous work that I was explaining, conduct surveys and put some preliminary permitting, some wetland delineation work, most likely, conduct a community engagement effort that will incorporate more voices and have just a renewed and reinvigorated feedback as part of this process, making sure that we're being as accessible as we possibly can, and incorporating all types of users for the potential final construction, which would be obviously way down the line, but that's the point. So, the goal of the feasibility study, as with most feasibility studies, is to pinpoint constraints and opportunities. There'll be some probably sophisticated environmental analysis that needs to be done, especially on those newly acquired parcels along Providence Road. So just examining, wetland crossings and what's needed to make sure that we can capitalize on, maybe areas that are not as low lying, or there's less grade changes or things of that nature. So really trying to pinpoint the best way to bridge this segment. So from all of that analysis, we would move into determining feasible alignments. We were envisioning probably 3 solutions. Maybe we might have more. That would be great. But, we're thinking of scoping out, should everything work out, in the RFP, have a consultant firm that examines three alignment opportunities that, and also that with an accompanying cost of magnitude or some sort of cost analysis so that we can compare options A, B, C, let's just call them for now, and then the town can determine how they want to move forward based on the cost. So conceptual designs and plans would accompany the feasibility study. It's similar, the town has done similar work in this regard. It would be higher level kind of design permitting documents, definitely not ready for probably filing with Concom the next day, but just to be able to have some preliminary planning work done would be amazing. So from there, those would be the final deliverables. It would be the feasibility study, 3 kind of preferred alignments with costs associated with each, and then some preliminary design plans. And then the goal is to inform, the next steps and get this done. So our budget, so the total cost of the project, I did analysis and some comparisons for similar projects, and we came up with a total project cost of $93,500. So I applied for a Mass Trails grant. We should be hearing back about that grant by July 1. If we that grant request was for $75,000. So I'm here before you tonight to request $15,000 CPA funds, and as I mentioned, we've secured $3,500 from the Heritage Corridor. I did submit a capital request for $75,000 if we don't get the Mass Trails grant, because I know this is such a huge priority for the town and for our department and for our elected representatives as well. So we really want to do everything we can to make it possible, but would love and quite frankly need CPA support. So the timeline for the, sorry.
To not cut you off, but I don't want to, you're on a
Please
roll.
cut me off, because I'm just going to go.
Instead of banking on the Mass Trails and banking on the alternative of capital, which I don't know how
Right.
competitive that is, would you not rather, I would recommend that you apply for everything but the 3,500 from us. We can discuss that, and then our money is last, so that if you get that grant, or if you still would do your alternative
Sure. Yeah.
options, because that's our goal, is to leverage dollars. But
Sure.
I would hate for you to get our money, the quarter's money, and then the grant to fall through, and then the capital budget. Then you're
Right.
still starting from scratch. And again, there is money available. We have money. We have $1 million. So
Well, that's great.
I would.
to hear.
I'm just saying that as
Sure.
you're looking on the bright side, but you're also just in case.
Yes. No, I
So
think
that if the money were available somewhere else, you wouldn't spend our money. You would only spend the 15 you asked for.
Sure. So I guess I would ask, so if we did get the Mass Trails grant, but we're awarded,
Again, it's like
Funds,
that's why you're asking for the full ask. You're requesting the full amount, and that whatever, if they give you 50,000 instead of 75, then you still have that cushion from us.
great. Yeah, I can
So-
amend.
Yeah, and that's why we meet this month,
Sure.
and again next month, so that if there are things that need to be adjusted, you
Sure.
can do that. And this is just a dollar amount adjustment. That's all.
Okay, great. Yeah, no,
So-
that was great. I
But
wasn't
sorry,
sure.
go ahead with your timeline. I should have waited, but
No,
I
that's
tend to
perfect.
forget stuff, so I wanted to get that out before.
No,
I-
cut me off, please, because
Yes.
as I said, I ramble. So that's great to know, and I think we would definitely be interested in taking advantage of that option, and I can submit a formal request.
And because you
to amend.
did it online, I think it's very easy because we had a problem with Skip trying to do one for the fire station, because he didn't do it he did it online, but it wasn't through an account. So you had to
Oh,
completely
yeah.
redo it, because I'm sure you have an account.
Yes.
All you do is you just go right back in and you change whatever little numbers, and that's it, and then it repopulates.
Okay,
correctly.
great. So I can just.
So you don't
go
have
that
to
original- Okay,
go
great.
from
I will do that.
scratch.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, I can. If I have any.
We can thank Colleen for that.
So okay, well that's really great to know. And I wasn't sure kind of what was just trying to be kind
If
of
you don't
conservative
ask,
at the jump, and then
You gotta ask.
gotta ask. I know I gotta be a little bit more, a little bit more aggressive, I think. But I'm glad that you told me that, so that's helpful to know. So I'll be doing that. I will just give a brief overview of the scope for the actual consultant team would be broken down into a few key tasks. So it would be surveying, design services, permitting services, structural and geotech, due diligence, and then standard kind of meeting and coordination line item that you kind of have in every outreach, but every budget that involves outreach, and then a small line item for miscellaneous expenses. So we're, I was kind of forming everything around the Mass Trails ask. So we were having a projected start date of early July of this year, and we would be that grant ends on June 30th, 2027. So we would have a year to complete the work. So that that's not a it's all based on the Mass Trails ask, but that can be probably some flexibility there if there's alternative methods of securing funds. So I just wanted to speak about the consistency with CPA. The project, I know probably it's pretty much a no-brainer to all of you, but just qualifying under we believe the create and preserve criteria. This will inform future implementation efforts that incorporate kind of a more of a thoughtful and responsible cost-benefit analysis to inform future recreation and open space enjoyment. So it forwards passive and active recreation at the local and regional level. It focuses on outdoor land-based activities, incorporates a shared vision for the Blackstone River and the people, communities, businesses, and landscapes along it. It implements goals and strategies of prior planning efforts that have been conducted over the past 30 plus years. So we would really be looking closely at making sure those those priorities are incorporated, as well as new priorities from our engagement efforts. The new opportunities will minimize the need to use private property and secure easements or any sort of land agreements with private property owners, which makes things significantly easier, obviously, in terms of getting the project done. It's an economic and environmental win for South Grafton, which is an environmental justice area and an area that we've really been trying to focus on investment in lately. So that's a really positive point. So, and then it fosters long-standing community partnerships with nonprofit groups and key players that the town has been working with for many years. The Heritage Corridor obviously being one, the Blackstone Collaborative, Sustainable Grafton, which is a fairly new group, but they're very involved, and then the New Trails Committee is has been a really strong supporter of the project as well. Again, kind of incorporates reinvigorated engagement opportunities, and then promotes, of course, accessibility and multimodal transportation options and general connectivity. So with that, I am happy to answer any questions that you have. Sorry for rambling. I do that.
Any questions from the committee?
So part of this project is to figure out where the trail will come in.
Yes, we're trying to examine preferred alignments based on the new acquisition of those 3 parcels and the bike lanes. So I mean, we're fairly confident that the bike lanes will be used, and just how the alignment continues through the off-road aspects, the remaining piece there into Northbridge, that would be under probably further scrutiny.
So the Northridge piece isn't done, but the Sutton side is?
The Sutton side is connected
To
so
Millbury.
bike lanes, and
To
then the proposed. I mean, this could change, but so the thought process was to connect through either Mill Villages Park or I think it's 63 Main Street, just following the canal or following the natural flow of the river through south. There's a Grafton Land Trust property. We did secure paperwork from the Grafton Land Trust, signing off. This was part of the Mass Trails application, but agreeing to, they were in favor and agreeing to allow us to study their land, and then that would connect to the other now town-owned parcels, and then into Northbridge.
Another thing, I just reviewed the budget that we typically, Jim Gallagher would be the one that would say, what about your contingency? You know, to build in a 10 to 15% contingency just in case. Are your numbers solid enough, or do you feel like that you need, because again, we don't want you to get into the middle of a project and then have to slam on the brakes because you've run out of funds.
Right. Yeah. Sorry. I probably. I don't know if I fully understood that when I was filling it out. So I didn't factor in.
But it's like people would just say, and I don't know if that's an option on there, just to say contingency X dollars, because before we would at this point say, have you considered contingency? You know, that's because we've had problems in the past where they bump up against prices, and that we do not want to hamstring a project.
Would that really apply in a feasibility study? You're going to
I
get a
don't know,
lump
'cause it
sum.
has to go out to bid, right? These aren't.
Yeah, use the RFP. It would be
Are you
be an
saying
invitation for bids,
that
and
this is what a consultant would bid on, and so that's what you got. And if you can't do it, then they won't bid. That's I'm just saying. I just want to throw that out there just to make sure that you have everything covered financially for this.
sure.
Doesn't hurt to have it.
Yeah. So I'll need to factor. I'll probably need to factor in.
I don't want it to increase the cost of the consultant because they know that there's extra money. Because if it's, you know.
Right. So through the RFP process, we have, you have your number, and then they have to come in with bids under that number.
So if you could do an RFP that would say, whatever your 93, that you could say still 95.3.
That's our.
But no, you still have $15,000 from us that could go towards contingency costs if you had
needed to
a
do
problem.
a contract amendment or something.
If there's some, right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So I can.
I just don't want to make it be because like a lot of those, it's like, well, we'll go for the whole thing. They don't go for 75 because they can get 93.
Yeah, I agree with you, John. I think that having that backup makes a lot of sense. I haven't, with the consultants that I've worked with, and we've done RFPs that usually we're pretty strict about, okay, stay within the budget, stay on schedule, et cetera. But yeah, I mean, if sometimes there's realities in the field, and we don't know what the new parcels, some of the challenges they may pose. So probably a good idea.
Just
so I can make that amendment.
to think about.
Yes, thank you. That's helpful.
Kristen?
So at this point, from what I heard you saying, the majority will be on-road bike lanes or sharrows?
The majority will probably be off-road. The actual division, I don't know off the top of my head, but the bike lanes will basically take us from the Sutton Grafton town line through to Fisherville Mill. And then the remainder is off-road, and I think it would probably be, I don't know if I'm speaking probably out of turn, but I want to say it's like a 70% off-road, 30% on-road.
Okay.
But could be off there too. But that's what we were thinking. And then I've seen from past work that was typically what was envisioned in prior planning efforts.
Okay. And then as far as easements, do you know approximately how many you would have to obtain, or?
No, not at this time.
Okay.
Any other questions? Jack? Jack, and then
I just want to say quickly, if we did kind of cut out the capital budget prospect of it, and you just asked for 90 from us, that would be the 75 that would have been the capital, and then the 15 still for contingency. The only concern would be if it were to get voted down at town meeting, which I doubt. But I still think that that is a good idea and we should do that because we have the money to do so, and I feel it's kind of the reason this board is here, is to fund stuff
We
like
want
this.
to have a successful project.
Yeah.
And a project isn't successful if you have to stop in the middle of your project.
Sure, yeah, okay, perfect. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And we've gone back to town meeting to give other grant requesters additional funds because they did run out of money, or all the bids came in significantly lower. So it's not, it has happened before, and
Sure.
at town meeting, they have approved it, so it has not been a problem.
Okay, great,
So,
good. Okay, good to know.
Ken,
I was just wondering if you have any thoughts about what type of trail surface you contemplate for the off-road segments?
Not at this point. It would need to be fully accessible, and I know that it would need to be paved.
Paved, huh?
Yeah, most likely. But I think that we can. Right. We can kind of continue to have that discussion and see kind of what comes out of the study. But Mass Trails does require fully accessible trails.
Donna, do you have a
I can
question?
address that.
So you want to come up? And while you're doing that, I'll also ask, because I brought it up, I think, last month when you weren't here. Donna might have some info on this as well. That Millie Bean saved what was called a pony truss bridge from Brigham Hill Road that's supposedly at Dauphiné Park in South Grafton. If it's not a rust pile, was supposed to be for this very project 50 years ago. Not that,
50 years.
30.
Oh,
I have never seen it, but have you heard that story? But she made the town save it when they rebuilt that little bridge, just around up the hill from us. So again, that's hopefully when this gets done, if it's still there, that could get incorporated
Yeah.
somewhere over the Blackstone or a creek. Call it the Millie Bean Bridge.
Say that
Well,
three
this is
times
so
fast.
encouraging to hear your thinking, and a great idea to basically ask for the whole thing just in case. So that's terrific. But as far as materials that this off-road portion would be, DCR will be building this, not us. So they have standards, obviously, for bikeways. Well, and why it's called the Bikeway Greenway. In Rhode Island, the term is a bikeway, and they have certain standards to build these in Rhode Island. In Massachusetts, they're DOT standards, and it's called a greenway because it's a little less intrusive than the Rhode Island ones. Rhode Island is kind of like, a highway. And so the Massachusetts ones are a little softer, not, pavement-wise, but they have different standards. So, but it would be DCR that would do this.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? More questions? Okay,
But could I?
sure, sorry.
We're delighted with this development. The Blackstone Heritage Corridor, I've been on the board for 30 years, and this project has been at least 30 years. You said 84, yeah, more than 30 years in the making. Rhode Island really jumped ahead, and they've got, I think, 13 miles, and it's fabulous. So Massachusetts has 6 miles of this bikeway. Worcester to Millbury, kind of with the road that goes to the shops, and then in South Uxbridge, it goes to the Woonsocket line. So we've got those 6 miles, but it's the 17 miles in between the gap. And so it's been sleeping for a long time, but because the town has purchased the property, the 41 acres property, and then made the wonderful bike lane on Main Street, we've just kind of rethought it. We thought everything had to be off-road, and that expense is crazy. But we had a meeting with Anya Wolginski, who is the Heritage Corridor Executive Director, and Anne-Marie and Evan and Fiona, and we just started looking at the map, and we said, oh, we could do this in a more expeditious manner. And what's so cool about this is we can just get the ball rolling here in Grafton, and then Sutton will see what we're doing, and Millbury will see what we're doing, and Northbridge and Uxbridge. So we feel like we can really lead the charge here and get it done. Our mantra is get it done by 31. But anyway, so this is terrific, and we thank you for support that you would give us.
Sounds good. And the way station could be the old Agway that doesn't have a roof, but it's right by Mill Villages Park.
Yeah.
And that would be a wonderful big open space for something that
Yeah.
would be bicycle rentals and a
Yeah.
sandwich shop, who knows? But again,
It's very ambitious.
it's ready to be utilized, and this would be a good incentive to
Right.
for someone to
So
take a look.
Anne-Marie is the one who pulled this all
Oh.
together.
Thank you.
Is the Greenway Challenge, like, do they go and utilize some of the trails down in that Rhode Island area with that? Are you familiar with the Greenway Challenge?
I'm very familiar with it, although I haven't been since the corridor doesn't sponsor it anymore.
Okay.
It's the Whitensville
Okay.
Recreation Center that does. But yes, the answer is yes. They do use
Okay.
the bikeway
Yep.
where they can. But the Pan Mass Challenge is coming through South Grafton, from what I understand. So this is a great time to highlight all of this. So.
Okay. Thank you. Anne-Marie?
Sorry, if I just make a couple
Sure.
of comments. I'm sorry I was late.
okay.
So you might have already said a couple of these things, but one thing relative to Northbridge is when we met with Anya initially, Donna, myself, and Anya, she indicated that Northbridge also has some positive momentum already with respect to their section. So they're already looking at it, and there's some movement there. So some movement in Grafton would certainly be beneficial in terms of getting it going. But I'm here, Anne-Marie Foley, 45 South Street. I'm the chair of the Sustainable Grafton Committee, which has been in existence since I think like 2019. And I don't know if you guys got the letter of support that we sent. Okay, great. So you pretty much read what I said there. But just to kind of highlight, even economic benefits to having a bike path or greenway coming through your community is really pretty phenomenal. I don't know if you're familiar with any other communities that have such a thing, but people stop by and have breakfast somewhere, or stop at Cumbies and get something. So there's that, bringing people through our community. My understanding too from our initial meeting with Anya was that there's a lot of support through DCR for this project to get this going, as well as the corridor. So it's just a matter of jump-starting it, and then there are a lot of folks in the back end that have been looking at this for 30 years, wondering, when can we actually get this done? So Sustainable Grafton is wholly in support of this for all of the things that we stand for, open space, getting people outside, exercising, enjoying nature, and then coupled with the history of the river, the canal, et cetera, and having folks have an opportunity to go down there and check that out is just phenomenal. And it just so happened, unrelated to this, was that we bought those parcels in proximity to this, so we could potentially utilize that space to kind of go off-road there. And then just lastly, again, if you already read my letter, then you know what I said, but the Pan Mass Challenge is in fact coming right through almost the route. Obviously, it's on road entirely, but the project that went through Main Street in South Grafton is going to be hugely beneficial because it takes a big chunk of this off of, the payroll in terms of getting this to fruition. But it'll be a great opportunity for the town. If we were to get the grant and/or if we were to get something through town meeting and then the PMC comes through at the beginning of August, it would be kind of cool to kind of get some momentum rolling. And just to say, I really appreciate you guys mentioning that, the option of just going for the entire amount and then hoping that we still get the grant. I think that that's wonderful to hear your support in that respect, so thanks. Any questions or anything?
Donna, or did you?
I just have one thing I forgot to mention. The Heritage Corridor has a fundraising campaign. It's called our Legacy Campaign. And the top priority of the campaign, it's a $1.3 million campaign, is advocating for the completion of the bikeway, Greenway. So we're working hard on it. And actually, we've just hired a recreation specialist who will really help with this project and also working on trails and paddling and river access and all of that. So the corridor is grateful for this. Thanks.
Thank you. Roger?
Roger Trahan, 4 Old Upton Road, Chair of Accessibility Advisory Commission. One of the things we do in advance of town meeting is look at the warrant articles where there may be an accessibility component, and here is exactly one. And it's not only to refurbish spaces, but to enhance and expand accessible recreational opportunities. So hoping that CPC advances this to town meeting, and I'll be, and presuming it does, I'll be putting it on Accessibility Advisory Commission agenda to weigh in on it for town meeting. So thank you.
And I'm sure, given that it's DCR, that all those things would be factored into it. So that should.
Yeah, one more, right?
Yeah.
Pile up the endorsements. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. No more questions for that project? You had a second application?
I did. And I spoke with John. I'm not entirely sure how applicable this is to CPA funds, but I can give the spiel and then we can talk.
Okay.
Do that way. Okay. So the second request that I submitted was for basically it's going to be an education and advocacy campaign for in conjunction with Mass Bike to focus on bicycle education. And I'm all about bikes tonight. But so we, my office did apply for a micro projects grant through the CMMPO, they're called, the Central Mass Metropolitan Planning Organization. They do a lot of major transportation-based projects from larger scale highway improvements to last mile solutions, which is, this is a little bit more in that bailiwick. So the goal of this campaign with Mass Bike would be to build a safer, more connected community, gather data from specific events, participants in those events, to basically inform future infrastructure improvements and general mobility improvements across town. Grafton does have a 2016 bike plan. Since that plan has been adopted, there's been not as much progress as we'd like to see. So, obviously the bike lanes along Main Street in South Grafton are a huge feat, and that was a really great collaborative effort with Mass DOT, but we're hoping to expand on that, and we're hoping that through projects and efforts such as this, we can get the information that we need and kind of build support. So we're focused on expanding equitable mobility options, improving health, air quality, and quality of life, similar to kind of what we were speaking about with the prior application, and then again, laying the groundwork for long-term infrastructure improvements. So Mass Bike is an organization that is very well versed in these types of educational campaigns. They did recently do a pilot in Worcester between 2022 and 2025, where they worked closely with staff and board members and members of the community there to basically have fun, cool, inclusive events where folks gather and they do group rides, they do bike tune-ups, they do just kind of general education, what you need to know, and how to kind of improve the public space for riders of all ages and abilities. So we really modeled this scope of work off of the campaign that they did in with that Worcester pilot. So, the goal is to be inclusive and fun through clinics, pop-ups, group rides, and safety trainings. We would like to have it across Grafton in North, Central, and South so that we're kind of reaching as many folks as possible. The focus would be on equity and engaging our underserved populations, and then leveraging community resources. The ask is relatively small because we can leverage the great knowledge of Mass Bike, and then they have equipment and volunteers and outreach materials and things like that that we can really work together on. And of course, my office would help in that with producing any additional materials that they needed. And then what we'd like to also focus on is making Grafton more accessible and safe, kind of improving disability accommodations and just kind of generally being just a safer place to enjoy this type of recreation and gather and be able to just ride freely and not rely on your single occupancy vehicle all the time. So the group rides would be probably the main focus of the scope. We would be working closely with Grafton Police on any details for safety purposes, as well as any other kind of key players and stakeholders to make that possible. The data collection would focus on trips and usage tracking. We would be focusing really on total miles ridden, overall usage, obviously number of trips, and then trip purpose and the mode that's replaced. So they have specific metrics that Mass Bike and CMMPO use to kind of analyze this data and kind of translate it into numbers more or less. So the data collection also includes emissions impact, calculating CO2 reductions using the EPA's estimates, and then again converting miles ridden into measurable emission savings. We also will be focusing on health benefits, so calculating active minutes based on miles ridden times 12 miles per hour, which is the average e-bike speed, I learned. And then lastly, cost savings, which is obviously a huge data point that is of interest to folks. So kind of estimate household savings from miles that are replacing vehicle trips times local fuel costs. The budget that we are requesting, $5,600 of CPA funds for this effort. I will be providing a 22% staff hours in kind match for this. That will be just my staff time, as well as Mass Bike will be contributing their time in an amount of 30. The Mass Bike will be contributing their time as well based on their hourly rate. And then advertising and outreach is going to be a huge piece of this. So we did factor in a line item for that. And then miscellaneous expenses. So it brings us to, with the total cost of the whole effort will be $7,161.60. The in-kind contribution for myself will be $1,561. And then the grant that we're asking for is $5,600. So, I realize that this might not be meeting the criteria of CPA in a way that I originally thought, but I'm, and I understand that, and I'm happy to,
My
elaborate.
concern is like when I kind of put it in pretty simple language, it's either feasibility or bricks and mortar. And there's a little matrix that the coalition has, and this would be technically what they call support.
Okay.
And support is only allowed for affordable housing, whereas we could,
I see. Okay.
that's like all the funds that you use for the Affordable Housing Trust, that they can pay lawyers if you have lawyer fees, or we could pay staff fees. But for recreation, historic preservation, and open space, support is not allowed.
Okay, and so, right, you couldn't like compensate Mass Bike for their time off.
So, I mean, and that's, if anybody else wants to comment, is that the understanding?
So when I'm reading this, it also says it's like hosting recreation type events. So I guess it's gray enough for me that I'd like to reach out to Stuart and ask just to confirm.
It's not that gray.
I think it's support. That's my, because when I first saw this, I mean,
No, I'm
Yeah,
very
I'm looking at
familiar
it,
with
yeah.
the matrix, but
Yeah.
we've reached out to
Yeah,
Stuart
no, I
in
don't
the
have a
past.
problem.
I don't
No.
see that.
And
that
I mean,
would be-
that's the purpose again of this meeting, is to have
Right.
questions
Mhm.
that we come back and hopefully get answered at the next meeting. So I definitely don't have I
Yeah.
have no problem asking for his
Yeah.
2 cents on that.
Yeah, the CPA is very land and property focused, particularly
And rigid.
in all of it. And so its activities are not really included in anything that the CPA contemplates.
I do see the create aspect of it, though.
But the
If
creative
this is
like
getting
creating a
people coming
park.
out. Well,
Or creating
I see this as
trails.
creating
creating
education material.
creating recreational
But we
opportunities.
can't create.
Opportunities aren't property.
People have wanted to write a history of Grafton. We can't create a history of Grafton. We can preserve a history book that was written 100 years ago, but we can't even digitize that. That's how rigid they are, even though that makes sense if you're have any knowledge of preservation.
Some communities are.
That makes,
yeah.
You're not supposed to use that, but
Yep.
I don't have any problem,
It's
reaching
such
out.
a low enough number, and it just seems like it would be nice to, if possible, to fund it. I would love to be able to do it. But I mean, if the committee's against it, then
Well, it's not against, it's can we do it? Are we authorized to spend
No.
it? That's what I want to make sure that we're within the guidelines.
yeah, yeah.
We can like the project.
That,
Right,
but to
it's
me,
not
that's
one
like
of-
the
it's not
lift,
one of-
right?
it's
The
not
lift
one of
at the
these.
church. When Stuart weighed in on that, he does not agree we should have funded that, but we all agreed we should, and we were okay with going for it. So to me, it's kind of like that for me.
Okay, I mean, well, anybody else have any comments? So I'll reach out to Stuart,
Okay, thank you.
then we'll get back to you on that.
Thank you.
So, but nothing will change in terms of your application between now and then. It
Yeah,
is what it
the
is.
content and the dollar amounts of that
Yeah.
would stay the same, but yeah,
Yeah.
that would be great. It
Okay.
would be a cool thing to do. I know, CPA is specific, but yeah, whatever, if there's any possibility, that would be wonderful, so.
Okay, so
Thank you.
for next meeting or before the next meeting, if you can update the application that you submitted with the dollar figures that we talked about for the first,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
and then that way we've got, and then Ken he's drafted warrant articles and he can update those based on your new numbers.
Sure. Yeah, I could do that.
I think 90 is a good number for contingency and the project.
Right, we need to, like.
We just need it from
You
you.
need to sell it to the town meeting.
Yeah.
And that seems reasonable.
Yes. Well, hopefully, at the end of it all, it'll be mainly grant funded. That's the goal. But yes,
Yeah.
I hear you.
Well, the goal is that we still have CPA. That's my goal.
Yes. That's yes.
That's the other.
Way more. Yes.
So let's get these projects funded before there's a problem.
Yes.
Roger.
All right, once again, noting Fiona's reference to disability and accessibility, assuming this reaches town meeting floor, Accessibility Advisory Commission would also weigh in on this warrant article.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks. Okay. Anything else?
I don't. Did you want me to speak to the Affordable Housing Trust contribution while I'm here? Because I work with them
Certainly,
closely.
certainly. Yep.
Well, it's just a standard request for the
transfer, yeah.
10% allocation. I just didn't know if there was any questions
I
that
don't
you
think-
wanted me to answer.
And Colleen's here, so again, you don't,
Yes.
I mean, I know you have
Colleen's got
a little
this stuff.
commute, so
Okay,
you
wonderful.
don't want to keep it longer than you need to.
Well, thank you all so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Okay. well,
Thank you, Fiona.
Good to see you all.
Good to see you.
All right, and I will update that, and I will do that tomorrow. And then
Okay.
just let me, I'll reach out, John, I guess, if I have any technical technical issues, but
Yep, okay.
should be good to go. All right, thank you
And if you
again.
have technical issues, William's the one to ask, not me.
Yes, fair enough. I will be directing those to William. Thank you all again.
You
I
can let
really
me know there's a
appreciate it.
problem, so I know there's a problem, but he's the one that's going to be able to solve your problem.
Hopefully we have none of them.
Okay, I saw
Have a good
Skip.
night.
Okay, sorry.
There he is, the back row.
Oh, yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
Okay, what kind of questions anybody have?
What's your name?
Roger Currier from 3 Matthew Circle in North Grafton.
Do you want to give us a elevator speech?
Okay, we have 8 original Currier and Ives prints. 3 from the American Fireman series that are the basis of that series. I understand that there's some others that have been printed. It's just a hard time trying to find exactly what they were. And then the Life of a Fireman, we have 5 of the 6. I believe that at one time we had a complete set of 6, and we're still kind of looking around for where the other one might be. They have hung in the fire station up in North Grafton since what I believe to be the 1870s, in various environments. They're in their original frames. Well, not anymore. Now they're in a vault, but we had to take them out of the frames. They have the original float glass, or whatever you want to call that glass that has the imperfections and stuff in it. They have suffered from some very light damage, no pun intended, and some staining from being framed with acidic paper or cardboard or whatever you want to call mats around them. We would like to get them cleaned, get the frames cleaned, have call it low E glass or plexiglass. There's a name for it, but materially replacing the glass in them, and then to be able to have them and display them at different places in town. Just kind of keeping them, the home place being up at the station in North Grafton.
Any questions? I have one. I'll say that give the same comments that I gave to Fiona. Did you build in a contingency, or do you pretty much have a good?
The
estimate?
prices are very good that we got from the 2 people. I sent pictures, and the person that Seth Irwin from the Irwin Restorations works with the gentleman in South Whitman. He's described the frames because he's seen them all when we took them all apart and looked at them, described what needs to be done to them. When I said, well, I can do that. And he just starts talking about, oh, this is waxed and you have to do this and that to it and everything is, okay, picture framing from the 1870s and finishing them is not my thing. So we'll just let this guy do it. He says an hour to 2 hours each should not be a problem. They both kind of put that into the prices that we have from them. So he's figured about 2 hours a piece at the most for the frames. And they almost, not quite like this tabletop as far as not really having too much done to them. To some have some mold and some crud on them and stuff like that. So it's essentially going to be cleaning them. So I'll have to take them out there, then go pick them up when they're all done.
Right.
And take them up to the other guy once he's done. Actually, I don't know how they're going to do it. I saw the facility that he's going to do it at. They are watercolors. Somehow he is going to just be able to clean the non-printed surface, I guess, to try and lighten them up a little bit from the acid staining that's happened through the back of the pictures. But they're really remarkable. I just kind of wish I could have run out and grabbed one to bring it and show it to you outside the frames, because there's like almost like a grayish. You wouldn't notice it, but in the glass, they're beautiful pictures.
It's great that you guys rediscovered them, I guess.
Yeah, well, it was my original thing I'd done in 2000, and been on again, off again, trying to find somebody to see if we could even find out whether they were really real. And finally stumbled across somebody in Framingham, and over the last year and a half have managed to do the research, find out when we believe they were acquired, and it meets the pricing that they would have been had they been acquired at that time. And they're definitely originals, just they're not, I guess there was a bunch made in the 1880s for like copies, and then in the early 1900s, and they're not of the quality, I guess, that those would be. They're original.
That's great.
So it would
Fantastic.
be a shame to see them go any further. You might see one or two of them out there for sale someplace, but she said that the collection that you have just doesn't exist.
Any
So
questions from the committee?
No.
Great
How
project.
do you insure these afterwards to protect the investment?
ask Kevin.
You got it. Just because when you said it doesn't exist, it instantly made it more valuable. Not that they
Right,
weren't
it-
already
and it-
valuable, but
That's so.
The problem with that is that you can't, if it doesn't exist, then at no price can you buy another one.
Yeah,
So a
can't
lot of
assess
stuff,
value.
that's why you say it's priceless, because you could get something similar, something close, but you can't get, I mean,
That
I don't know how many of each one of those they make.
I guess I'm just looking at a bunch of fires here and I'm trying to protect it
Yeah.
from a fire. Like,
Right,
how do we,
right.
what do we do here?
So it's funny you ask. Carol Spack, who looked at the maps, is an expert on maps and paper. She isn't an appraiser type, but what she did was look and say, I can tell you that the quality that you have is better than these that are out for sale. That she was unable to find in resources that she has any for sale on some of the prints. And so she's kind of agreeing with the single pricing of kind of what's out there and kind of giving us some ballpark ideas. I don't know what it would cost to get a real appraisal done of them. The idea of how much are they insured for? I found that question asked, and it's, like, okay, at a company meeting, somebody asked one of the chiefs, and the chief went back to the other chiefs and said, how much do we have? And then they went to the selectmen, and somehow they found out they were insured for $1,200, but this was 50 years ago. Now they're probably in some floater that we have at the town.
Yeah.
But they're not specifically mentioned. Technically, from my former profession, I don't even know if the town can insure them, because from what I see, we own them, kind of. They were purchased on the books of that.
Who's we?
Fire department.
So the
But it's not the town?
Emperor Engine Company 2 bought them. That disbanded in the 1870s, 1880s, and there was a successor group, the Henry Crippen Fire Company, which I always thought to be a joke because there was some minutes or something, or bylaws on the wall down there. Well, come to find out that Henry Crippen was involved in the fire department, and he was a real guy and all that kind of stuff, and he, in fact, that's what they were called. That kind of seems to have gone by the wayside in the 1920s or 1930s, or not been as active, or the group called that, and eventually it kind of became an association that Engine Company 2 was an association of all the guys. They had their own set of bylaws and kind of like adopted everything that the former associations had owned. So when we started having our golf tournaments, we formed a corporation and did the 501c3 stuff. And we're here as the proverbial owners of all the stuff that the other guys passed along. So does the town really have an insurable interest in them to insure them? I don't know. Well, I'd have to read one of the Maya property floaters to see whether we can even do it. Or what they
That's
would
not going to
consider
hold
that.
up my support.
No,
I
no,
was
but
just,
that's-
when you
and that's-
said it was irreplaceable, that was my argument. How are we protecting
So
the asset?
I don't know, if the people that we have talked to about this have also intimated that if it kind of gets out that you have them,
They
you
could
might get approached to display these at museums. So
So if we sold them, would we still need an override? We're not selling.
No, I don't, so looking at, I looked out there, and if you said they were $6,000 a piece, I have no, that's what I'm seeing, better
Yeah.
quality of the ones that you can get, singles.
But that doesn't really even matter, because.
But it does,
doesn't
Oh, it's
matter.
just super fun. It's
yeah,
interesting.
it would be cool to go out and say, okay, if you took them and threw them out at auction, once they were all done, what would happen?
It wouldn't
That's
reduce, it wouldn't
what
reduce the
sets-
tax rate that much.
No, no.
No.
But that's the story on them in a nutshell is, somebody might say, well, they're the towns, but
With this work that's being done, protect them from degrading further in the
yes.
foreseeable future?
Yeah, as soon as the acids that have built up in them have been removed as best they can be with the process that they're going to do, and you put them into it's a plexiglass, but he had a name for it, to keep the light damage down. I have all kinds of guidance from them about where we should and shouldn't put them. They are amazed that where they were, they aren't more damaged. And it's not like they are, I don't know what you can see in the pictures that I sent along.
Pretty good pictures.
Yeah, he has to take those by the standards that they have. I don't know what they look like other than just like looking at my computer.
Well, this
show
project is clearly covered by the act. So it's preserving a historical artifact, and that's clearly allowed. So it's right up the committee's alley.
I do have a question, though, in terms of who owns them, because if it's not the town that owns it, the Historical Commission needs to get it on our agenda in a week to say that we verify that it has historical significance to the town, because if it's owned by the town, we don't have to go through that step. So
Yeah.
do you, technically, are we going to say that it's the 501c3 that owns it or the town? Or should we just be safe, the Historical Commission will
That's what
address this?
Do you want me to go see them?
I don't want to make you have to go to another meeting. Paul and I are both on that committee. We can explain and we can share this information with the committee. And basically, we'll review the information that you presented and vote, yes, this was, this is historically significant to the town.
It's when I was doing the new form, I'm looking at that and I don't know how that question seemed to be more geared towards a real property, not personal property. So
No,
I
because
wasn't
for
really
the
sure where to go
Historical
with that.
Society, they had several things that we paid to have, like they had some textiles and they had some old needlepoint, things like that. We had to
do that
to say, yes, this is, even though, because we don't own it and we don't have a legal interest in it, so we're saying it's historically significant to the town. And because you're a nonprofit, this is a group that will share this with the town. So it's part of the law. That's
okay.
Like I said, it's pretty rigid.
Yeah, if you want anything else from me, feel free to yell by.
I think we have what we need.
Yeah, I don't have any more info other than it's been like a lot of time spent getting from trying to find all this stuff and go to different places to speak with people.
So do you plan to resubmit with a contingency just in case it is 2.5 hours instead of, you don't want to mookie?
No. If it goes over, I'll just pay for it.
Sir, that is...
Well, kind of went over on the research, so.
He's vested in it now.
He wants it done.
Okay.
Yeah, the money that's there to do this should take care of this without a problem.
Okay.
I don't expect to use it all.
That's great.
Good. All right.
Okay.
Great project, Skip.
Thank you all very much.
Thanks for doing it. Okay, let's see. Treasurer's report.
Can we get the monitors on?
I don't know.
don't know how to work anything anymore, do we?
No,
I assumed we couldn't, that's why
I've-
Fiona's wasn't being
it's been
displayed.
longer that I didn't work at the studio now than the time I worked there. I'm
Yeah.
fully out of the loop.
Okay, so I don't know if anybody has a copy of it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So it's been, I connected with Mary Lauria, the accountant, and confirmed that the revenue estimates that I presented last month are the ones we're going to use. So with the surcharge, the state match, and estimated interest, all estimates that we are speculating that we'll have $891,507 of revenue. So that leaves us with 10% reserves of $89,151 and an admin reserve of $24,000. So we're going to have a budgeted reserve of just over $600,000. There is the Blackstone Greenway concepts could be taken from the budgeted reserve, and that could be either $15,000 or perhaps $90,000 if they take our recommendation. The other expenditures are going to come from the reserves. The Pell Farm, $55,000 from the open space reserve. The One Grafton Common, $71,000 from historic reserve. The Courier and Ives print restoration, $10,500 historic reserves, and I guess a transfer to the Affordable Housing Trust, $89,000. And that leaves us going into October, assuming that we're still at $15,000 for the bikeway, of over $1,200,000 available for grants in the future, in October. So we're in good shape, and the committee, there's certainly enough money here to fully fund the bikeway feasibility study if necessary. And if we do raise that to $90,000, it's still highly likely that the grant will come in, and it may only be $15,000 anyway.
Yep.
Yeah. And when you say that our money gets spent last, so then still it would just, then it would come to that. If they get the grant, they still spend the 15 and then it just kicks back, so.
Exactly.
Perfect.
That's the report.
Okay, any questions?
Thank you.
Do you have a motion?
Thank you.
So moved.
So,
Second.
no, that's too
So
good.
close. It was a pause, too.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Declare the motion carried unanimously. We did the project applications. We have one sunset extension that we need to do for the Hassamasset Woods Bridge project. That expires this June, so we need to extend that for a year.
It's so fun.
So moved.
It makes life so much easier. So, do I have a motion?
How detailed does this motion have to be? Like, how
Just to-
long do you want to extend it for?
We said it's already pretty much like,
They've
spent.
done one bridge, and then I don't know if it was a seasonal thing, and then they stopped, or it was just that, they have a million other things they can do, so then they stopped, and they plan to do it this spring.
So a
So
year
if
should
they
be
don't finish
sufficient.
it this
Yeah.
spring, we need to make sure that the funding is still there.
because I forget who it was, but someone said that like they plan to be done like a month after
Right, and
when we have
that's
it.
always
So
the case, and we don't want to cut somebody short
Yeah.
on time, so
Just 1 year.
I would say 1 year is sufficient.
I make a motion that we extend, what is the group?
Has to
It's-
miss it.
We're calling it the Hassamasset
Hassan-
Woods
Bridge.
Bridge project.
Be extended by 1 calendar year.
So that's till June 30th of 28.
so moved.
So I have a motion by Paul. Do I have a second?
Isn't it 27?
Second, I think it's 27.
Sorry. Corrected, 27. Motion.
Second.
I'm calling.
Nice. Totally stole that from you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All
Is
those
that
opposed?
2027 or 22?
27.
I'm like, 'cause I'm thinking
Fiscal
fiscal
year.
27, so I'm like trying to be smart, and but that's not it.
Too smart.
So close.
Hearing no objections, all those in favor, hearing no objections, motion carried unanimously. Do we, I don't, Amory left, so I'm gonna ask her. I haven't heard anything more about withdrawing from CPA, because we were gonna, if that were.
The board has no interest in it.
We're gonna keep bubbling, that was discussed to have some kind of an educational, that we need to do something to help advocate for why it's important to keep it, but if it's not really gonna happen.
No, like the meeting you attended,
Yeah.
Andy was like, if we even entertain this further, they would invite us in to just,
Okay.
and there's
Was
no
that nothing?
appetite at the board level.
And talking, because I've talked to two people from the coalition and with Ken, even if we voted at town meeting and then they have the election, it's going to be at least 3 full years before it would end in Grafton. So that if they're looking for debt relief for taxpayers this year, it's not going to happen, because we have to pay off our bonds. And then once we vote to get rid of it, we don't get the match anymore. So we're paying off the bonds with all our money, not even the 20% match. The match is
60%,
gone.
but-
So,
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, most of CPA is funded by Grafton residents. The match is very
right, but it's
piddly these days.
but it's, a couple
it's
hundred
still a
thousand
match.
bucks. That's
Well, 120,000.
well,
We had talked
It's
about
more
it.
than,
it's
I'd like
more-
120,
it's that bikeway right there,
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
It was proposed as a theoretical olive branch to make an override more appealing, and I think it was very quickly determined that it wasn't
but it's
worth
the problem is that it's there's no advantage to doing it.
That's why I said
short term.
theoretical. It was,
So it's-
can we maybe make
it's-
these numbers
yeah.
make
yeah,
sense?
they're just having a lot of hard conversations.
And I
that
have
was-
talked to David Moradian, and I've talked to Stuart as well, because the one thing that I said that we could possibly do would raise the exclusion. The $100,000 is in the statute, and that's it. It's not flexible. And so the coalition has other things they want to do. And so they said during this coming year, they're going to work on all the things that they want and then go into it with a package to the legislature to say, these are the things that we would like to see changed, and this will be one of them. And so
When's the last time they had major changes to?
a couple years ago, and it was a big change, because the one thing that changed was recreation, because before you could not renovate fields.
Yeah, it's been more than 2 years though. It's
That's a
probably
good, that's a
been
good
5.
ad.
That towns like Cambridge, when it wasn't a problem for the small towns, but when the big towns started adopting CPA, they don't have any real estate left. So the only way that they could improve their fields were to literally rebuild their fields, and that was specifically prohibited in the original act. So, so the legislature is willing to make changes. So hopefully we will be able to get some changes. Why? Oh, there we are. Sorry, I think I skipped right over it. The town meeting warrant articles. So I don't know, that was in the packet, right?
Yes.
Everybody should have, so the warrant articles that Ken has drafted, warrant articles, that the administrative reserve is 24,000, the 10% for historic, affordable, and open space, 89,151 each. The Pell bond is 55,000.
And it's from the open space reserve, by the way.
Okay, since there is a large balance. The townhouse is 71,425, and that'll come from historical.
Yes.
Korean Ives is going to come from historical, 10,500.
And so for most of these, in fact, all of them, I just literally copied the text from the approved warrants from past times and edited them to match the current ones with the fewest changing,
Yep.
Fewest words changed.
The fund and the name of the project and the date.
Right, correct. And so on the Curry and Ives, I called them restorations. It said, actually, they're preserving them too. So-
It should be
That's both.
conservation,
But restoring is good enough.
conservation, preservation, yeah.
Is it going to be restore or preserve or restore?
And
So I could say both those things, but.
And there's also rehabilitation in the same one, so.
Right, restoring and, yeah, I think restore and rehabilitation
Yeah.
are often used interchangeably. So anyway, that's what it says. So that's that.
I have
And
one quick
sorry, yeah.
question that's more semantical. On the bond payments, do we do a bond payment at both spring and fall, or is it just once a year?
Once a year.
Got it.
Just in the beginning of the year, and then the payments happen whenever they happen.
Do we need to vote on these tonight, or are we going to vote on them?
This is just for everybody to
To
review,
Mhm.
because like this next one, we're already hopefully going to change.
Right.
Because we don't know amounts yet.
The bikeway is 15,000 in the draft, and it's probably going to get changed to 90.
Yeah, and the text says contributing to the funding, and so if it gets increased, I would just drop those words.
Yeah, because it would just be funding. Looks good.
Yep. Okay, and then the last one is, we reserve at the top 89,151 for affordable housing, and then this one takes that reserve and then transfers it to the Affordable Housing Trust.
And then a possible 7th, depending on what Stuart says about that.
Oh, yep.
I guess.
Roger.
May I? All right. Speaking as a resident, not as a chair of any committee, one of the things that had happened, back in, was 2001, pardon, that CPA was initially enacted. And I know that it was pretty much in the spirit of the CPA that the projects that were funded from CPA monies, the projects themselves were authorized by town meeting. And at a point that the Affordable Housing Trust was put in place, I think by a vote of town meeting, at a certain point shortly thereafter, we started rubber stamping, or town meeting kind of didn't understand the warrant article in the motion, in my opinion, that we started rubber stamping this transfer to Affordable Housing Trust. And when this warrant article, or the warrant articles were first put in place, the main motion on town meeting floor included the language, and no longer does and probably no longer needs to, that the transfer occurs from that reserve account to Affordable Housing Trust, and they use the words without further appropriation from town meeting. And that's just fancy talk for, it's out of town meeting's hands. I never liked that, and I know the Affordable Housing Trust has made, I think, a somewhat valid argument that the timing of town meeting may stifle their ability to do things in the interim with that money if it stays within the reserve account. I'm not aware that that has happened in all the years that we've made this transfer. I think it was maybe a year ago. It is spring town meeting, right, that we make these transfers, not fall town meeting?
We changed a lot of this, and so everything now is
All right.
in May.
All right, so I had spoken on town meeting floor, I think it was last May, against this transfer. And the great irony was that people packed town meeting to vote for things, and then they voted, and I spoke against the transfer, and they basically voted for the transfer. So the great irony here is that people showed up to town meeting to vote on stuff, and then kicked it out of their own hands in the future for the Affordable Housing Trust to have this money and not have to come back to town meeting, the very town meeting that everyone showed up at. And I just found that to be ironic. And I say this in the context of continuing to be against this transfer for lack of precedent that this money has been really needed in the interim, that Affordable Housing Trust had argued hey, listen, we need the money, this transfer is good. And I think it's a more philosophical discussion that, in my opinion, the way I observed it, when CPA was first instituted in '01 or thereabouts, that these things came back to town meeting for a vote. You know, we don't, hypothetically, I mean, we don't transfer open space stuff to the Grafton Land Trust, you know what I mean? Not that we could, but it would be the same, discussing it in the same light, that basically we're raising this surtax money and then just basically kicking it out of our own hands to vote on. And when that CPA was sold, it was sold that the residents of Grafton had a chance to vote on things. And I guess we also have the ability to vote to transfer this money to Affordable Housing Trust, but I think that in recent years, there was a misunderstanding by town meeting that we had to do this, that it was a rubber stamp, that there was a mandate. And it can stay, am I correct in stating that it can stay within that, that bucket?
Yes.
It's
That account?
always going to be only for affordable
Right.
housing. So whether it's
Right.
accruing in their account or their budget line or our budget line, it's their money.
Yeah.
It's whether we get to decide on a project. So they would have to come to us and say, we want to spend X dollars on this, that it could come from general CPA funds, but also from their reserve.
Right.
Whereas if it's given to them, they can decide their projects without us deciding yes or no on that.
Or having, or having any say.
So let me ask you this, and not to put you on the spot, but to put you on the spot. Has CPC here discussed, I guess from a philosophical perspective, what approach you should take on this? Whether you want to be involved in those things and bring it back to town meeting?
We certainly can discuss it right now.
I mean, I would like to see that discussion, because I think that, and this is not saying that this is a vote of no confidence in Affordable Housing Trust. It's basically saying that when this was originally sold, and I don't mean that as a pejorative, CPA has been, I think, really good for the town in spite of it being a surtax. But it was really sold that these projects would come before town meeting. And I think it was a huge misunderstanding that whenever this came before town meeting, people really had no idea what they were voting on. It was one of these things that I call like an administrative vote, where everyone just kind of like sits there and raises their hands, and no one really speaks for or against it. But yeah, I'd like to see that discussion happen, especially in light of Affordable Housing Trust having a decent amount of money having been transferred to it, since all these transfer votes have come to light. Not come to light, but, you know, have taken
Can I
place.
just put a pin in this real quick?
Yeah, please.
What agenda item is this falling under? And should we have the Affordable Housing Trust in to discuss this? Because I just don't think,
Right.
I feel like
Well,
we're going down a really deep path that
It's
really
the
wasn't.
one I
Well, you're not
read.
voting on it tonight.
Affordable
But
housing
we're having a
transfer.
discussion on
Okay.
something that really, I
It's
don't,
Warrant article number 6, Affordable
Right.
Housing Trust transfer. That's
All
what
right.
it's-
Yeah, no, it is, yeah, I wouldn't have gone
You're not-
outside the
yeah,
box.
yeah.
And,
You're at-
and I'm not expecting that you vote on it. I mean, you know, Chair said that
I mean, we're not
you
voting on any
you're
of
not
this
voting
stuff.
on anything
Right.
tonight, but, yeah, it's just one of those things where I would like, as a voter, to have a say in some of this stuff directly. I mean, everyone has an indirect means of weighing in on this, because they can show up at the Affordable Housing Trust meetings. And I think you're part of the trust.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so,
That's what I'm thinking, that
Yeah.
if we're going to engage in this discussion,
That
we should
affordable housing.
absolutely have the Affordable Housing
Yeah.
Trust here and to have that discussion.
right, right.
To your point where you're saying when we first adopted this, one of the big selling points was we can get out after the first 3 or 5 years.
Right.
People felt comfortable knowing we don't have to be with this forever.
Right.
And now it's been 25 years and people
Well,
are
it's been
afraid to get out of it.
It's been
Right.
18 times.
What are you talking about?
I think that we've made 18 transfers.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when we joined CPA
Oh, right.
originally.
Yeah.
One of the selling points, when we're talking about selling points,
Right.
was that we could get out. And obviously, that is not a selling point anymore. So I
Right.
think we can't just lean on the selling points from 25 years ago because those change, right?
I mean, fair point. No, it is a fair point. I mean, things do change. But I think that there are times that we stray too far. And then we don't even remember, there's no historic or institutional memory of how things were done. Now, I'm not going to be all folksy and say that we always need to do things the way we've always done them. But I am saying that it's basically spending by committee. And why not just, I mean, the Affordable Housing Trust made the argument, or a member of, made the argument that the trust could be stifled if they needed to do something in the interim, okay? And again, the irony was that it was a town meeting. I mean, that's an argument that, heck, if you're talking about town meeting being the inefficiency, that individual or individuals are basically arguing against town meeting itself.
Well, I do want to make a correction on that because that's not only whoever that was' argument, it's the CPA's argument. It says on their website, do you need a way to acquire land for affordable housing without having to wait for your municipality's legislative body to vote on each and every opportunity that arises?
Okay.
So it's the CPA's argument as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I find that ironic, that, all right.
And
Was that always the
C
case?
actually is the one, not the trust, that decided to do this. We thought, because we did not, because the concern was nothing had come up. It's not like we had a problem and we had to have a special town meeting.
Right.
We thought this would be a smart way to make sure there was a fund of money to do whatever they needed to do fairly quickly, because with real estate, and if they're buying real estate, again, you're not going to be buying a lot of real estate with any of the money that we're giving. There's just not enough money.
Right.
But if they needed whatever money that they had,
Right.
that's why we decided to do the transfer to them on an annual basis rather than to wait for an actual, they could still do an application for a grant, which they have done.
But wouldn't that
For
argument
specific.
have more weight when the transfers first started? In other words, now that there's money in the Affordable Housing
I believe
Trust,
they've used that money for that property up in the common.
so AHT is kind of at a, closer to a
So
zero
can I-
balance?
I guess the overarching point you're trying to make
Right.
is you want more input on what the Affordable Housing Trust spends money on.
But as a citizen, as part of the larger town meeting body.
So you want town meeting to have more input on what but it's a very limited scope of what we can spend that money on. You realize that,
Correct.
right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So
It's just a matter of who votes on it.
what does that mean?
In other words, right now, it's the Affordable Housing Trust. It's a committee, is basically acting as a quasi-legislature versus town meeting. In other words, I know that town meeting can authorize and has authorized this transfer and is affirmatively saying, yeah, we want this out of our hands. But I think for the most part, people don't understand what they're even voting on.
And there's a grant agreement between CPC and the Affordable Housing Trust. So there's all these, guardrails in place. So what is it? Can you give me an example of what you would try to prevent or help by doing this way?
No, it's neither preventing nor helping. It's basically saying
Why
from a
do it?
philosophical perspective, whatever may come before town meeting that is affordable housing related, that money would come from or stay in that pot of money, that reserve account, and then town meeting would vote on it.
So instead of, for example, the money, whatever X dollars of CPC funds that went to Upton Street,
Right.
that instead of you having that money available to you, that would have had to have been a warrant article
Right.
to say, did the voters of Grafton approve spending X dollars of CPC money to augment
Right.
developer funds to buy down prices so we could have more affordable units, so that the town meeting, is this what you're, would vote on it? The actual.
Right. And I know the argument's been made that somehow town meeting would not vote for things and that town meeting would vote against things. And I'm actually taking the opposite approach. In other words, I believe in affordable housing, accessible housing, adaptable housing, all of that, and even the direct subsidies that have occurred even, from either ARPA or during COVID. And so I'm not trying to prevent something.
But you see how it could, right?
Absolutely. I could see how it could.
And also
Right.
expounding on this issue, like the town appropriates funds to departments that then spend that money.
Right.
So do we want town meeting voting on Department of Public Works?
Well,
expenditures,
we
the
can
library,
actually
the
vote on
police
the line
department?
item.
You can
But
put a hold.
We
that's
can
what
put a
I'm
hold,
saying
we can
is-
put a hold on that.
You can put a hold in the transfer.
Which you tried to do.
Yeah.
So-
Right,
So we already have those
right.
things in place.
Right, but I think that, and to your point, Colleen, yeah, you're not voting tonight, and absolutely, maybe Affordable Housing Trust didn't anticipate there'd be any comment on this, but yeah, absolutely bring them in. And as far as I'm concerned, although I'm speaking, politely, adamantly about this, in the end, if town meeting votes for the transfer, it's neither here nor there. That's town meeting's vote. But I'm not going to be like silent about it. I think there's too many things at town meeting that get rubber stamped.
I don't understand how you can say that you support affordable housing, but you're against an affordable housing trust transfer. I don't understand.
No, in other words, I think that the town, with proper deliberation, will support affordable housing expenditures just in a different venue. Instead of at committee level, it would be at town meeting level. I know that's a risk.
Would you try to get on the affordable housing trust then? I think that's.
I'm actually getting off one committee.
But I think that's,
Right.
for your level of passion and concern, I think the answer is to get on the affordable housing trust.
No, I actually think it would be to engage the other 13,500 people that are not registered voters that are not on committees to become more aware of all the committees in town. So, I mean, on a personal level, I'm on 2 committees right now, and I'm stepping off of one. So, from a time commitment, yeah, I can show up on a Thursday night, but to make a commitment to switch one committee to another, that's not something I can do, so.
Is this something, I mean, if CPA or the coalition is saying, advocating for this, is this, when I'm talking to Stuart, should I ask him, I mean, just to see if he has any other comments?
Yeah, I think that's the whole point of Stuart, is just vet things. I don't think we need to encumber funds, especially one, we already have a grant agreement, so we'd have to reopen up our grant agreement. It's not as simple as Roger's trying to make it out to be. I know he feels strongly about this.
Are you saying it gets complicated to try to fund things incrementally?
No, I'm saying that we have a grant agreement saying that we're going to transfer this. Like, we've already made an agreement between the trust and this committee that we are going to abide by doing that.
Okay.
So now we would have to open that up, and that took months to do with commas and notes.
The agreement talks about, the agreement is about what happens to the money that is transferred. It does not.
It's not a mandate.
It does not say that the money gets transferred every year. It just says,
You sure?
for any money that does get transferred, it has to be used like this.
Right.
But it doesn't say money must be transferred.
Right, and I think the town meeting has thought, it's been almost framed that it must be done. And I understand that it can be, the waters can be muddied, and that a project could be put forth, but only a portion of it is a town meeting, and then the whole thing is weighing on a town meeting vote. It can be sticky, I understand that, and it can be inefficient, but I mean, town meeting, I mean, can be inefficient. Meeting twice a year and hoping that nothing happens in between meetings, of an emergency nature. But, I mean, that's the way we run our town, and so.
So what's the benefit I guess I'm just.
No, the benefit is, I mean, one of the benefits is, I mean, certainly preserving the tradition of town meeting.
But when you
is
got
to
up and
keep.
spoke to this last year.
Yes.
And you were outvoted,
Yes.
isn't that the will of town meeting saying they're okay with doing these transfers?
At that meeting.
So so just weigh in each meeting. If
I will.
Okay.
I will.
You also said at the beginning of this that you dislike the argument of, well, this is the way we do things. But then you said just now that, well, this is the way we do things. You vote for legislation at town meeting. So
yes.
I think your argument may more so be critical of not the attendees to be specific, but just the body of town meeting that do show up because you feel it gets rubber stamped, because that's never been made official. So that would be on the attendees, not on any board or commission.
No. I think it is on the attendees, but I think that it would be worth CPC having the discussion of, and you're saying that, well, the CPA itself mentions that it's more efficient, and I'll wrap this up. It's a more efficient way to do things through AHT, through the transfer, than to have to wait for the legislative body. Well taken. But it would be an interesting discussion to have, to see whether CPC is on board with that each year.
Well, can we just take a quick straw poll, unofficial vote of the committee members are here? Are we interested in no longer transferring money to the affordable housing? Or do we actually want to go down this path as a committee? I personally do not. I think it's just going to create more problems than it's worth, and I don't think we need that aggravation personally. But if a majority of us here want to go down there, then let's onboard the Affordable Housing Trust and have that conversation.
But before we do that, in the agreement, the first whereas is,
Which agreement is this?
The grant agreement? We did, yeah.
that the act requires not less than 10% be set aside for community housing. I thought that's at the beginning of the next fiscal.
No, here, right here.
Are you reading MGL or are you reading our grant?
No, I thought that's like, oh, that was like saying, but that was the law, and I thought it was like that was the agreement, but it's.
No, the agreement is just, it contemplates that from time to time, the committee will receive and.
But I'm trying to get to what Colleen said. It says at the beginning of the next fiscal year or other specified time, the housing funds and the community preservation fund shall be transferred to the trust.
Right.
So that's saying that this agreement, we have agreed to do this.
Yep.
So at
Then why
this
does it even
point,
go in
with
front of town
this
meeting?
agreement, I don't feel like, I mean, we can talk about it, but I don't feel like that, like you said, we can't change this without
Right.
renegotiating.
No, that's not what it says.
It's saying it's
No,
to
but
transfer.
you're talking about the housing funds, and the housing funds are defined up here. And the housing funds are defined as, from time to time, the committee shall consider and may approve grant applications from the trust. And, when it
that's
goes to
like a
town
like-
meeting, those funds that are transferred become housing funds. It just doesn't say that
Let's say we have
the
to.
10% has to be transferred. It does not. But anyway, I don't think that's not, the point of what we're discussing anyway.
Right, anyway,
What we're discussing is, does the town want to continue the practice of automatically transferring the 10% reserve funds to the trust?
And to Colleen's point, it's a warrant article that we vote on every year, and if I want to speak up
And
against it, I can.
personally, I think that's a valid topic to be discussed at town meeting.
Yep.
But we need to talk about it first.
But we also get into the muddy waters of trying to do committee work on town meeting floor, and that can take an equal amount of time.
But it's not committee work. You're making it town meeting work. That's your whole point, is you want town meeting to have more say. The committee already has made its,
But finance,
whether it's spelled out or not, that the spirit of that grant agreement was about our transfers, our 10% transfers that we've been doing for 18 years now, according to previously quoted numbers. So unless I'm here, is there a majority of us right now that want to go down this path? I don't.
I don't think we're prepared to make a change,
Not to
even
make-
if we wanted to.
But do you want to continue this discussion at the next meeting? I personally do not, at the committee level.
And does anybody want to continue this discussion or not at the next meeting?
I don't see any reason to. I don't, the whole spirit of what we're doing is to free up that funding so that they would have it to use and nothing.
And you're confident that Finance Committee will also concur, because they deliberate these warrant articles?
It's not my job to be confident in what Finance Committee is or isn't going to do. Right now, I'm wearing my community preservation hat.
That's true. I
And-
keep on forgetting,
right
yeah, because,
now-
I know you're on AHT, but you're wearing your CPC hat.
Right, and my CPC hat says, this is the spirit of what we've been doing, and your biggest concern is town meeting having more say, not our committee
Right.
deciding whether or not town meeting should have more say. And our committee right now, the gist of them are saying, we're not interested in that
Okay.
proposal. But you are more than welcome to speak at town meeting, and I'm sure you will.
I may. I may not, but no, at least I brought it up. I appreciate this committee hearing me out. I don't think enough people come to these type of meetings, and so at least having.
Like you can see, we're very crowded this evening.
We're people.
More than we've
Anyway,
ever
no,
had.
Yeah, it was.
Anyway, I appreciate all your work, and Colleen,
Yeah.
Affordable Housing Trust work. I know how much.
I
the
hear
people
what
on
you're
committees
saying,
do,
that
yeah.
also we have made an agreement with the trust, so.
And I appreciate you adding that context, because it's now public. I may simply go away, and now that you've brought that to light, that I wasn't aware of, that there's sort of a more of a, even though it technically has to go to town meeting for a vote, it sounds like it's probably something that it sounds like, you've kind of affirmatively acknowledged should happen, but.
It's more structured.
But in fairness to you, I still will ask
Yeah.
Stuart at the coalition to get feedback from him.
Right.
So that I'll get back to you on that in the
Right.
committee next month, but just so that we're not leaving it hanging, and so
Right.
that it's, we're getting a response. Because I think, like you said, that's, and they probably, I don't know if we asked them or if we just did it, that they advised us that this would be one way to make money available to
Right.
the housing trust.
I'd have to look it up, but there is an article out there of local affordable housing trusts started cropping up because of CPA. Towns didn't have affordable housing trusts before a funding source became
Right,
available, and when a
right.
funding source became available, trusts came right
And I'm
after.
assuming this is pretty much the only funding source?
No, so what settlements have come in as a
Settlements,
funding
yeah,
source,
that's
but
true.
only consistent funding source, yes.
Okay. All right.
In addition to that, some towns have a similar trust for open space.
Okay.
There are open space trusts
I know
in
that's
some towns
land
that get
trust.
funded in similar ways
Okay.
for similar purposes, but we do not have them, but
Okay.
they exist in Massachusetts.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
I have comment
Yep.
that we just received an email from Fiona. They have
Okay.
already amended, so
Oh, good.
we're all set, don't have to worry about it.
So efficient.
Okay.
Look, Fiona.
Okay. Man, that was a
Okay.
quick drive home for her.
And
It's
so-
been going a long time.
And while we're still on the topic of the warrants, I'd like to say that now that we have a grant agreement with the Affordable Housing Trust, I included that language in what's the sixth warrant article. And what I did is I added the phrase, I added to the phrase, "with such fund being used in accordance with the Community Preservation Committee grant agreement and the Town of Grafton Affordable Housing Trust."
You just added that now.
Yes, I added that.
Okay, I was like,
for-
I don't see
I added that. I didn't write it on your page.
No, okay, yeah.
And so I just cited the agreement, the new agreement that we signed this year.
That's cool, because then people might be like, oh, what is that? Let me go look into it, and I like
And so
that.
that's, and it's like, I tried to find it, Beth.
Is there a button? I thought there's a button.
I mean, on my phone, there probably aren't any buttons. I mean, it may be there.
The grant agreement?
That grant agreement, I wouldn't know how to find it easily on our website. I was just digging through minutes.
That'd be good to have posted.
If
Both-
that
on both sides.
isn't where,
Oh, yeah, it was supposed to be under, like, treasurer's report. One of these buttons should have been the grant agreement.
It was signed May 8th.
It might be on the Affordable Housing Trust, so let me see if they popped it up there.
so if you could add that
Yeah.
to the, you said under the treasurer's report, does that, I mean,
They might be alphabetical, but I was using that as an
Yeah.
example of where to. And I'll ask Amber if she can get it on the Affordable Housing Trust one, so it's in 2 places, depending on which entity you heard
That
it
makes
from.
sense.
So, again, you have to coach me a little bit. So I'm going to,
Okay. Where are
I
you?
got it lost.
Want me to come help you?
No, okay. So under community preservation, it has several things. So if I touch treasurer's report, that's where you think it should go?
No. I use that as an example of the drop
So
down.
it would just go on that list?
Yeah, in
Gotcha.
the list
Okay,
somewhere.
so whatever that,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, because I thought that's kind of where I looked and didn't look any further.
Oh, no, sorry. No, that
So
was
that's where, if.
just
if-
an example.
So if you could pop that there, then, because that's, I think, an important
The
document.
new agreement that we
Yes.
Yeah.
just got.
And can we maybe put up, while you're up there, adding the grant proposals for the 2026, 2025 somehow didn't get up there either, but just because it's a cool place to find stuff.
Okay.
Is it bedtime yet?
It is, so we will move quickly.
Okay, let's move.
Updates, any updates from the archives?
No, I think last month
Yep.
presented you what she's moving forward
Yep.
with, so now I haven't heard any more.
Okay. Historic gravestone, I actually was hoping to hear back. I talked to Paul Holtz. I talked to 3 people at Mass Historical. The archaeologist said, talk to Paul Holtz. Paul Holtz said, send me some photographs. So I sent him a bunch of photographs last week. He said, I'll get back to you immediately. He hadn't gotten back to me. But he wanted to look at them to say, because I told him I talked to Mixie, the lady that had come out, the consultant, a year or 2 ago, whenever she came out, and said, that she recommended that would be, because of the fragility of the stone, that would be an alternative to bring it in. And he wanted to see how bad the stone was before he approved, saying, yes, you could bring it in and make a replica. So I pinged him again today and haven't heard back. But it was, he said he would get right back to me. So I said, did you get my emails? Because I sent you like 10 pictures. And he started talking about different things you could do for conservation, that the actual material that you use, that you put on the top, it actually wears away. It's not permanent. I mean, that's the goal. You don't want anything to be permanent, because then you're locked in forever. And when the new technology comes, then you can't undo what you've done. So you want everything to be reversible. So this would be something that would be a temporary thing that you would have to do again and again and again. So I said, well, the problem is I don't know if that stone's going to last that long. It may pop off and then we've lost the part that's significant. So I'll have an answer, and then we'll either put this to bed or put it away at that point, because he's kind of the one that's holding all the cards in terms of what we can and cannot do.
If you made a replica, the replica would then go to the grave, and then what happens to the original?
It would come here. I don't know why people are so.
To the municipal.
Yes.
That big pit in the wall downstairs.
There's like a big, where they keep taking out lockers. I mean, you could make
put it in there.
display areas. Yeah.
So haunted.
I think they're so cool.
I
It
do
is
too.
so cool.
Cool in the graveyard, totally. But it's,
Have you not
Kinda
ever
morbid.
been to the MFA and seen old headstones?
No.
nope, I skipped over all of
Oh,
them.
you missed
I have
just
been there,
like
but I
napped.
didn't see any gravestones.
No.
Didn't look
Okay,
at those.
we're doing fast. 95 North Street.
There's 3 feet of snow on it, nothing's changed.
So they're
When are
locked
they
in place.
thinking they're going to open?
It was, I thought, in the fall, so I think as soon as
They're
the
almost
snow,
done.
as soon as the
Oh,
snow's
the work's all
gone.
done, essentially?
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
But it's not the full bigger trail, it's just the accessible trail that's been built? Or-
That's what we were talking about the last meeting, that we have to clarify. I thought my understanding was when they went back again, they were able to do everything that we originally had scoped out.
Yep. I
So,
hope so, I'm looking forward to using it.
yeah,
Any fun plans for like a dedication when it opens?
not that I've heard of. I'll have to talk to Adam. Conservation is pretty much leading that project.
Okay.
So,
Housing Authority rental Gallagher rental assistance.
Yep. We requested one from February, and we'll be requesting 3 more for March move-ins.
Okay.
It's been extremely successful as
I think
usual.
the February one has been
Mhm.
paid, so. Cisco Homestead, I know we received and paid a bill for like $150,000, so they've done a considerable amount of work. And Ray said, you know, when weather improves, if people want to come see it, if we can find a time where either she or the contractor, if people want to go look at it, that would be
Definitely.
wonderful. I'd love to
Yeah.
go look.
Let me know, I'll go.
I don't think that's going to be anytime soon. Given the weather for this next week, I think it's supposed to get cold again and snowy, so. Congregational Church, that's,
We have to hear from them soon, don't we?
and they have a new moderator. It's Sue. Oh my gosh. I did this already once today.
Is that-
I blanked. I didn't even get a
When you
name.
say
wouldn't even come
moderator,
up.
you mean
Who's like
minister?
the head of the, no, the moderator is like the administrative person. That's the head of all the committees. Well, shame on me.
I reach out to Andy to
she
get
just got
an update.
appointed.
But
They
they're not
also haven't
requesting
come to-
anything for the spring though, right?
No.
No.
No, it's just when
We're
are they
just-
going to get started?
yeah,
When can we expect to see Bill?
um,
Have they come to the Historic District Commission yet?
No.
No, so that's another.
And that's
thing
why I
gotta
wanted
do.
to talk.
I'll mention it to him when I reach out.
Minutes. Okay, do you have a quick update from
Yeah.
the trust?
Yep, we updated our grant agreement with 1727 Upton Street. It was very just minimal things, including the new entity Brendan Properties, and we got it to be in line with all of the changes that the select board did, so it was really just simple, easy things. We actually had an extra meeting just to do that. So we're hoping that that's going to get going in the spring, and potential groundbreaking ceremony for that. So I'll let you guys know about that if that takes off. That's it.
Do you have ballpark when that,
Oh, one more thing.
the groundbreaking would be?
Spring.
So, April.
I
You think it'll be snowless by April?
I am
No, so
not,
May.
no, I don't
No
know when the ground will
promises this year.
I might
unfreeze.
go there with my shovel and just
But
One other thing, sorry.
the other thing is, did you touch base with Brian Langevin, Ken? I sent an email with, yeah.
I didn't, but I intend to.
Okay, so he's the treasurer of the Affordable Housing Trust now, and he's done amazing work teasing out it's Ken's dream document of teased all out.
Yeah, I looked at some of the reports he wrote.
It's nice. So, oh, good. We got a thumbs up from Ken. So anyway, that's, I would love to maybe even, I know I got Brian and Ken on an email so they can talk, and if Ken has any input or whatever, and go from there. But, maybe even have Brian come in and present to us if you guys really wanted to see that nitty gritty. I don't know if that's of interest to you guys, but it is a nice document. I started color coding mine because it was just easier to read, but yeah, he sure does.
Okay. But technically, all the CPA funds have been expended. The funds that you have in your account, whatever funds are from the settlement, or is that an accurate statement?
That is not the most accurate statement out there. So I would.
So there's still some unspent CPA funds.
Oh
in the
yeah.
trust. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I think having Brian come in for sure, and we'll make sure the monitors are working because everyone should see this beauty. And if that's okay, if he's available, can we throw him on next month's agenda? And I have one more agenda request for next month too. It's a
So
quick one.
do you want to separate, like up the top agenda, or just as part of, I mean, he can come in and talk whenever he wants, but just keep it under the update?
Yeah, we'll just keep it under the Affordable Housing Trust update, but we'll take it out of order to
Okay,
let him.
right.
Yeah, I think that works totally. And then,
I just didn't know if that satisfied, like,
oh, because it's an
notification.
update. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then can we add that trifold town meeting
I almost did that and I thought, oh, but I didn't, so I will.
for March, just to
Yeah.
whatever updates or tweaks we want to make
If-
for spring, so I can
Uh-huh.
get those all done and keep pushing those out.
And you can add that just next to the May town meeting warrant articles.
Mhm.
It could just be a part of that.
Yeah.
And promotion.
CPA signs, I need to ask you guys in terms of the sign for the Robinson properties on Upton Street. It's going to be a standard sign, whereas,
There's going to be some question about where to put it.
right, so we have to cite the sign, where is the best place to put it, if you'd like.
Can I ask you a question? You know that little like
No.
bump out? I'm gonna. Never stopped me before. Where people kind of like pull off to fish. Is that part of it? Like, could the sign go there?
Go up where?
Oh, that's like way down by the curve?
Yeah.
I don't think that's part of it.
Is it?
I sure hope we didn't buy that.
Explain again what you're talking about.
So, like, do you know where the two houses are, kind of, where one's, like, not fully finished yet, under construction by the, I guess, the curve?
Mhm.
There's a tree there, there's another tree
You
there.
can actually see the beach.
You can see the beach, yeah. But it's like this little gravelly pull-off area. People
Silver
park.
Lake
How
Beach.
can I describe that better?
The Robinson.
trees.
I think the Robinson properties are up
You can picture what
to
I'm.
the top.
It is, but I wasn't sure, because I know we were collecting all the pieces. Did
I
that?
don't know if that's,
That piece is kind of already town property, but
Great.
there's also a little piece in there that no one knows who owns it.
Put a sign on it and then we own it.
Like the olden days.
But I love the idea of
Claim
like the
it.
Ekbla sign and putting a beaver on it, like Jan said.
I asked her, talked to her about a beaver, and she's
There's a
like,
place to put it.
she was kind of concerned how that might come
There's a
out.
place to put.
But
that
there's a
sign.
beaver dam literally right there.
Right, but not in terms of the idea, but in terms of the implementation.
You think
That she was afraid that it would be,
silly looking?
yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, but there is a
We
place,
need a design.
There's a place to put the sign along the road there.
Okay.
And there's a access to there too. So there's a place to put it.
Yeah. I just pictured there because people will park and see it and
see it.
appreciate it
Yeah.
versus like kind of tucked in the woods. You're like, did I just,
Yeah.
Right.
where did it go?
Right.
You know, I don't,
Okay.
I'm not a good driver, so.
The other thing is that there's, the town needs to arrange for a conservation restriction, and I don't know whether Evan has done anything
On-
for that.
Um,
And in fact,
For the
Providence Road?
Robinson or Providence Road?
no, yeah, actually, that's Providence Road.
Oh, is
I
that
guess
what?
that's a different topic.
For the new properties we just
The
bought.
new property needs a conservation restriction, and there was $5,000 for that, to do that. And I don't think, I don't know if it's done anything about that. Well, he hasn't talked to Land Trust. I don't know if he's talked to anybody else.
Okay,
Oh, slipped his mind.
Okay,
But
And then-
the Land Trust is amenable to doing that if asked.
okay. And the other sign is the one at South Grafton Elementary School. I'm
The stolen sign?
the one that was stolen. It was just literally clipped onto a chain link fence. And again, we can't have a big $5,000 sign, which are now 6 or 7, there. It's lost, it'd be wasted, but something on a pole, or I just don't like, get it why they did it the way they did it, but look what it did.
Yeah.
Got us, nothing. So to get some kind of, they have little signs that talk about the playground that came with their equipment, that to have a sign back there that wouldn't be, any much bigger than a speed limit sign. Is that acceptable? That kind of, I'll bring a proposal or show you, but is that, I don't want to go down the wrong path and you guys go, yuck. Is that okay? Something like that? Just, we want to acknowledge that it's for Doreen and that we paid for it, or significantly paid for it.
Are we positive it was stolen? Or did you
It's
say-
gone.
Is there
have it.
somewhere else we could put the sign, especially since it's for Doreen, besides at the physical playground?
Me.
Is there like a nice sign we could do inside the building that will stay nice? It will acknowledge what was going on, and it's just recognized inside the building. I gotta be honest, as a parent going down to a playground, I'm not reading every sign. Who
Right.
don't, you know what I mean? But maybe when I'm waiting for a teacher conference, something, I'm reading the walls, that's when I might be looking around to see something. So could we think about it differently, maybe?
We could. I would be concerned that a sign is hopefully, if it didn't disappear, that will stay there. Something inside, I would be not as confident that it would not get moved or covered up, or a piece of furniture put in front of it.
Oh, I'm picturing like plastering it on the wall.
Screwed.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, it's like, weird stuff happens when you get a new principal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we already know it's been stolen or broke.
Right.
It's missing already once.
We know it doesn't work,
Yeah, right.
so we have a lot of options beside that.
I don't know. I was just thinking differently about it to maybe.
I'm just, because like when you first walk in on the right, I think there's like a statement from the school committee that says this is, the philosophy of Grafton schools. And I think downstairs, somebody had given a beautiful painting, and then there's a plaque that's for the librarian or the principal. But, but it's not when you first walk in. I don't know how much real estate there is upstairs to put a plaque like that when you first walk in. I mean, I can talk to the principal and say, is this something that would be okay with you?
And
Where
where
would
maybe
you-
they have a suggestion.
Where would you
yeah.
think it could go?
Yeah.
Is this something that you guys think inside is okay? Would you rather see it outside?
I'd rather see it outside, just because other people from the community, the only people that are gonna see it are the people that have kids at that school.
That's a good point.
And the
Okay.
school is only up to second grade or something, right?
I mean, I don't have a problem with doing both. I mean, a small plaque inside, but also as a more visible sign outside that people will see it when they go, when the kids are playing.
Because you do visible outside, that just is clear that we funded it, and then inside could be more detail why we funded it,
Right.
the history of it.
But is that okay? I mean, and the sign that I was talking about, nothing fancy, just a metal sign on a pole that, hopefully nobody will find desirable.
I don't know. They have a collection going now.
And then Wildwood, again, we're just waiting on the lawyers and the family. I guess probably the family more than the lawyers, but
Motion to adjourn?
I have a motion. And Paul, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. We are adjourned at 9:06.